From the western home of spring training baseball, this is Brad Cesmat's Baseball AZ.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome on in. Salt River Field's our site today for the episode. This is the home of the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks, two teams in the National League West that will be fighting it out here this coming season in a very competitive division. Speaking of which, on today's show, we'll head out to Peoria. Andy Green, the manager of the San Diego Padres, will be with us. We'll head over to Goodyear and catch up with Reds manager Bryan Price. The Reds going through some changes. We'll visit with Bryan. A's manager Bob Melvin out at Mesa Hohokam. Jordan Ham is going to have a piece on the Diamondbacks' David Peralta. We'll check in around the Cactus League with some of the media. And of course, we'll take you to some sights and scenes and places to check out around the Cactus League as you go through spring training. And we'll also hear from Commissioner Rob Manfred some of the issues around the great game of baseball. But first, let's head over to Peoria. The Padres are a team in transition. They have a new manager in Andy Green. I caught up with him earlier. Andy Green, the manager of the San Diego Padres, first year, and what do you make out of managing in Cactus League baseball?
It's great. Obviously, I spent a lot of time here in Arizona, and it has a special place in my heart for all the years I've been here. So I'd much rather have spring here than in Florida. And I don't think there's a better venue than just like the Cactus League venues. I think it's a great place.
What do you want to see here in spring? What are your biggest questions, Andy, that you want to get answered?
You know, we're creating a culture where guys have the expectation that they're going to be coached and that they're going to get better. So, like when you go into spring training, it's, you know, you want to be better on March 15th than you were on March 1st. And by the end of spring, you want to be the best that you've been and, you know, carry that on over to the season, that you continue to improve throughout the season.
So, in terms of individual players, some managers like to see the younger guys below the surface because they already know who's up there and they like the competition. It's your first year managing. Are you looking at those young guys? Or are you just trying to get a semblance of everything with your team?
I think we're paying attention to everything right now. I think we have a lot of options in constructing a bullpen, so there's going to be a healthy competition there. We got a lot of strong arms, big physical power arms that have the opportunity to impact us there. We like Alexi Ramirez being on our team to anchor our infield now, so that feels good to have that shortstop to stabilize us. And you know, moving Will Myers into first base, so there'll be a lot of attention given there to making sure that he feels good working around the bag and has an understanding of everything we're trying to do inside the infield. So, you know, as a manager, I think your focus goes absolutely everywhere.
What's been your biggest adjustment being a manager?
You know, I think you have the opportunity to empower a staff that's like highly capable. Like I think I hired some of the best coaches in the game. I think I told the guys in pitcher-catcher meeting, like you might not have the best manager in the game, but you got the best coaching staff in the game. So like I have these guys that I can empower and let them go out and actually coach. And you know, I'm used to the hands-on version of coaching where you're out there working with the infielders, and now you're sitting back and watching great coaches like Glenn Hoffman and Eddie Rodriguez handle the infield, and you're watching, you know, Darren Balsley and Doug Bockler in the bullpen. You're like talking with Mark McGuire over how camp looks, and like I've got this great set of individuals with unique experiences in the game, and we're just empowering them. That's different. You don't get to do that when you're just a coach.
From Peoria, let's head over to Goodyear, just down the freeway a bit on the 101 if you're coming out to visit the Cincinnati Reds facility and manager Bryan Price. You know this area well, and when you come into spring training and you are talking to fans in Ohio and they're saying it's freezing back here, we want to come out to see you play in Goodyear. Talk about Goodyear a little bit first off the top, Bryan.
Well, as you know, we've had about 4 consecutive weeks of 75-degree weather or better, right? So we're out here in the beautiful Arizona desert, and I'll tell you what's changed most about Goodyear in the last 6, 7, 8 years for me has just been the fact that there's been great growth out there. They brought Major League Baseball into Goodyear with the Cleveland Indians and Cincinnati Reds, and we got spring training up and going, and we're loving every minute of it.
On the field, what are you most excited about this spring?
Well, you know, we've had a lot of changes, and I think change isn't just good for change purposes, but when you change things up and you have talent, that's exciting. You know, what we have is we have young talent, some of it untapped yet, some of it inexperienced to the point where they haven't touched the major leagues yet. But that's exciting because we know what's in front of us. We've got some good veteran leadership, albeit a small group of guys that really want to be here, that they want to be here during that transition. And you look at a guy like Joey Votto, who signed a long-term contract, who's committed to being here through the ups and downs of the organization. Homer Bailey the same way. And we're sending really good messages to our young players that there's opportunity here, but we play the game the right way, we play the game hard, and we're going to try to do everything we can to get all that talent out of each player and get ourselves back to the top of the division.
What concerns you most in this spring training? What do you need to get answered?
Well, we have to figure out our bullpen for sure. We know that we're going to have, barring any injuries, I have a really good idea of what our lineup's going to look like. I have a really good idea on probably 3 to 4 of our starting pitchers are going to look like until we get Homer Bailey and John Lamb back. In the games where you have a lead late in the game, those games that slip away late are the ones that hurt the most. So we have to find a way to figure out who our best late game bullpen is and give them those guys some opportunities to close some games out for us.
Well, it's friendly, it's noisy, you can't hear yourself think.
Spring training is bringing back new and familiar faces to Don and Charlie's in Scottsdale.
I get to see a lot of people that I only see once a year. A lot of the baseball people that come in, I've known them for 30 or 35 years. And I'm always meeting new people.
Don Carson opened the doors to Don and Charlie's back in 1981.
My dad was in the business, so I always worked in a restaurant. And since the age I was 10, I worked in restaurants and I worked in every department.
Don and Charlie's is a popular spot not only among baseball fans, but players and celebrities.
We get some ball players. We get a lot of media people. We had the commissioner in tonight.
Different types of steak, baby back ribs, and seafood are just some of the top items people order when they come into the restaurant.
This restaurant is a reflection of the food that I grew up eating in Chicago. We have a Seattle salmon dish, which is relatively new. We just put on a pasta primavera, and then we put on a pasta marinara with shrimp.
Don and Charlie's is known for more than just its food.
A lot of times people hear about Don and Charlie's and they think we're a sports bar. We are an American restaurant that serves great American food and happens to have a lot of memorabilia.
That includes signed baseballs, magazine covers, photos, and other sports memorabilia displayed all over the restaurant walls.
We have over 3,500 items. Less than 5% of what you see I bought. So there's a story usually around everything, and that's what makes it cool.
Sports memorabilia, food, and that personal experience is what Don says spring training customers are going to get when they come into Don and Charlie's.
Anything else I can get for you too?
We have a great staff. They work hard. There's somebody that's going to say hello to you. Somebody's going to say, how is everything? Somebody's going to say to you, thank you for coming in. Hope to see you soon. Doesn't happen everywhere anymore.
Still to come, Ken Rosenthal, one of the leading voices in Major League Baseball with Fox. We'll head out to the Oakland A's camp. Bob Melvin on his team. We'll hear from Commissioner Rob Manfred and show you yet another place that you need to check out when you're not at the games here in spring training. Gateway Airport brings us to you every week. We thank them. Brad Cesmat, Baseball, AZ. One of the under-the-radar teams here in spring training, year in and year out, is the Oakland Athletics. Look, manager Bob Melvin does a terrific job and doesn't get a whole lot of praise or aplomb nationally. I spoke with him earlier about the A's for the 2016 season. Well, Bo Mel, you're here with the A's and you're in spring training. This is familiar ground to you. For fans that are coming here, what is the best part of the Cactus League for you?
Well, they can get a little bit closer to the players. The players are a little more apt to, based on playing a couple innings or having an off day, certainly early on, to be involved more with your fan base. We're fairly close proximity, so we do get a lot of fans come out here, and I think what I get back from them is it's just a little bit more informal, and guys aren't on his edge as much, and a little bit more personable.
What do you want to get answered here in spring training?
Well, typically we have some turnover, so we're trying to figure out who goes where once the season starts. Certainly try to stay injury-free, and we had some younger pitchers last year that were a little bit banged up at the end. So, hopefully whether it's Graveman, Bassett, Hahn, 3 guys that will be very important for us. So we're trying to incrementally make sure they get through spring healthy, and if that's the case and we're healthy, we think we have a good chance to contend again.
I've always felt that in spring training you can start looking at number 96 and number 73, and they're the guys that are 2-3 years away maybe. You have a couple.
I was 96 and 76. Even when I was an established major leaguer, I felt like at times I was 96.
I love that. Do you have a couple guys that fans should be looking forward to if they're coming out to see you play? Young guys you're taking a long, hard look at.
Well, Sean Manaea, the one we got, left-hander we got in the Ben Zobrist trade, is a guy that everybody's really excited about. And for a guy that has no big league time and just pitched in the fall league, a lot of the cameras stopped and went over towards him, and so he's getting a lot of focus. But for the first time in a while, we have a lot of good young position players. We've always been more of a pitching-rich organization in development in the minor leagues. We got some really good young position players, whether it's Franklin Barreto, who we got in the Donaldson trade, Matt Olson, who's a first baseman that we like quite a bit, Ronaldo Nunez, third baseman, Matt Chapman, who was our first-round pick a couple years ago. We got a lot of good young position players this year that we're looking forward to getting in these games.
The Arizona Diamondbacks share this facility with the Colorado Rockies, and here in 2016 the buzz is about Zach Greinke leading the Arizona rotation. But if you look deeper at the Diamondbacks, there's much more to the team than that. Paul Goldschmidt, one of the best kept secrets in all the game at first base. They have a terrific outfielder in David Peralta, who's about ready to have a breakout season according to those who watch the team. Jordan Ham spoke with him earlier.
The Diamondback faithful know David Peralta as the Freight Train. It's a fitting nickname for the Snakes outfielder. Like a train whistle, the crack of his bat can be heard from a distance, and once he's on the bases, good luck stopping him. For Peralta, he's embraced the freight train mentality, whether it be with his style of play or etched across his chest.
Freight train, like I'm going for it. I'm not going to stop. You know, that's the way I am. I'm going to go for it every day, give it my 100%. I'm like a freight train, and nobody's going to stop me. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the best I can to help my team to win every game.
He's definitely one of our hardest workers, and whether it's on the bases, at the plate, or defense, he seems to be a sponge with Dave McKay or Dave Magadan now.
But it didn't stop there. Peralta spent much of last year trying to learn as much as he could from the veteran outfielders on the team, including all-star A.J. Pollock.
Sometimes I talk to him, like asking, hey, what do you do in this situation? What do you do to read the ball, good angles, and all this stuff? So I learned, he helped me a lot. And even when Ender was here and Gerardo Parra was here, I asked him because I'm trying to learn every day and to get better. Yeah.
You know, David's been so great for us the last year and a half, 2 years, and there's no reason he can't keep getting better. So it's fun to watch. He brings a lot of energy, can do it all out there, play some good D, hit for a high average, hit for some power.
Last year was a productive one for David Peralta. He started the year almost hitting exclusively against right-handers, but was able to cement himself in the lineup and protect the big bats of A.J. Pollock and Paul Goldschmidt. Now in 2016, he's hoping to grow off of that and become a household name.
I feel comfortable right now, confident, like that I'm going to be playing in right field, and the manager gave me the opportunity to be, like an everyday player. So, but it's not going to change anything to me. I'm going to be working out hard every day. I'm going to be up there in spin training, giving my 100%, like if I'm fighting for a spot, create the competition. And I'm just, happy for that, and I can wait till the season starts.
I think he infuses energy into our ball club. So that kind of leader is what he is. I mean, you cannot get away with coming to the ballpark and having your dauber down or not giving 100%. When David's around, you're gonna play as hard as him. You're gonna try. It's not gonna be easy to do.
Now time to check in with the national media, a view around the Cactus League from some of the leading voices on the happenings around spring training here in Arizona. All right, let's turn our attention around the Cactus League now with Ken Rosenthal, Best in the Business Emmy Award winner with Fox, senior writer, and he wrote a big column on the direction of the Diamondbacks. Also wanted to just bounce from camp to camp a little bit with Ken. He is in the Valley with Brad Cesmat. Ken, thanks for coming on board. What story strikes you most in the Cactus League thus far?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say the direction of the Dodgers with their rotation. What's going to happen there and how they're going to use all the bodies that they have. That's one for sure. The Diamondbacks, of course, are really interesting just in that they've taken an approach to roster construction that is frankly different than virtually every other club. But, when you ask a question like that, I can basically tell you about each team, and they're all interesting at this time of year. Actually, they're all interesting at all times of year. And I always look at baseball as 30 different reality shows taking place, and spring training is the start of that grand reality show. So there are a lot of things that are really catching my attention so far. The A's, I was there yesterday, and they've got actually a heavy roster with position players. There are too many good players, believe it or not. So, again, team to team, there are different issues, and it's all interesting to me.
Let's dive in a little further then on the Diamondbacks. You wrote a very big, long column, which is great, put a lot of meat and potatoes out there about what's going on here with Tony La Russa and Dave Stewart. And I've seen this team, Ken, since day number one to where it is now, and it's gone through all sorts of twists and turns and different regimes. But I feel like from start to top to bottom that this group's got it figured out. They've got the ability to spend. It's just not going to happen overnight, and they are building for the future while trying to win in the present. Am I hitting it on all cylinders from what you see?
Yes. Now, the question with them is, are they actually really building for the future, or is it just a 3-year window here, and then after that, will problems set in? Because let's face it, they have traded a good number of prospects to get where they are, to get the players that they wanted. Gave up the number 1 draft pick for Greinke. Of course, any team would do that. And where will their prospect base be in a couple of years? I don't know. They also brought in a number of players, younger players. So that's a concern, though, for another day. And if I were a fan of them, I would like the approach, at least in terms of the aggressiveness and the desire to win. Some teams don't have that kind of fierce desire. Now, all teams want to win, but what you've seen is definitely a more fervent approach, especially this offseason. So I'm anxious or interested to watch them play because I think they've got a lot of talent on the field. And I actually believe that they're going to be a lot better than some of the projections think. Now, are they a playoff team? I don't know that. But are they a competitive club? Yes, they should be.
Still to come, one of the magical musical places in Arizona that you'll need to check out when you're not at the game of baseball. We'll also hear from the commissioner of the game, Rob Manfred, on some of the emerging young stars in the great game of baseball. We thank Gateway Airport. It's just plain easy, them joining us to bring it to you every week. Brad Cesmat, Baseball, AZ.
Equally exciting in 2015 was the emergence of another new wave of stars, the Chris Bryants, the Carlos Correas, the Francisco Lindors, and you add them to players, really young players like Mike Trout, Andrew McCutchen, Clayton Kershaw, and you realize that this game today, Major League Baseball today, is a game that is dominated by young players. For us who have business responsibilities in the game, we see those young players as an opportunity to pass the game on to the next generation. And we're going to work really hard during the course of the 2016 season to make strides in that regard.
A nice 90-degree day, and fans are checking out all the great spring training action. And look, when you're out here, yeah, you're going to watch the games. But there's also plenty to see and do around the Cactus League when you're not watching baseball.
We are the world's only global musical instrument museum, and if you're in town for spring training, this is definitely a place you have to be.
Selena Coleman is giving us a tour of the Musical Instrument Museum in North Phoenix.
When you walk through the door and you come up to our team members at guest service, they will hand you what we call a guide port, and it has headphones on it, and as you walk towards the multiple television screens, the audio will sync up. Guests are always inspired and excited when they come to the Musical Instrument Museum. Even folks who think, oh, I'm not really a musician, I'm not really into music, they find something that resonates with them here.
The Musical Instrument Museum opened its doors to the public back in 2010.
On the second floor, we have our geographic galleries where we have instruments from every country in the world. On the first floor, we have galleries where you can explore specific artists in our artist gallery.
Those artists include Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, and John Lennon.
We have monitors that show performances by those artists. We also have instruments that those artists actually played. We actually have the piano that John Lennon used to compose the song Imagine. You can visit the Mechanical Music Gallery where you can see things like our decap Apollonia dance organ, or you can visit our Experience Gallery where you can actually play instruments.
One exhibit spring training visitors can't miss is the Stradivarius Origins and Legacy of the Greatest Violin Maker.
We have violins and other stringed instruments from Cremona, Italy. We're featuring really the founders of the violin, those luthiers who made the violin what we recognize it to be today.
The Musical Instrument Museum wouldn't be complete without concerts.
Our theater has 300 seats and we have over 200 concerts per year.
A musical experience that anyone, any age, can enjoy.
For me, the Musical Instrument Museum is a place of culture and community. You can come here and visit the world without ever leaving Phoenix.
And that's our show for tonight. We want to thank Gateway Airport. They are just plain easy. We'll see you next time on Brad Cesmat Baseball AZ.